All right, y'all. Welcome back to Combat Arms channel. Okay, so I'm with Ryan from Dit Commando. Today we're reacting to American cops versus British cops. The reason we're doing this is we kind of want to see the perspective from the American side and the UK side. So we have a Royal Marine Commando here and a US Marine. So I think it'd be kind of cool to get both of the perspectives. So we will be uploading both of these, or we'll both be uploading the video on our channels so you guys can watch it from either channel. However, we will link the other's channel down in the description so you guys can check it out. But we'll get right into it. I know you guys don't like the intros too much, so let's check out American cops versus British cops.
Let's get it. Looking forward to it, man.
All right.
By Terminator Genesis Future War.
Infographic
Today we're going to compare American cops and British cops. But for a second, let's imagine we are living in the future and the machines are fighting humans. Terminator Genesis Future War is the first mobile game where you
we'll go ahead and skip this ad because we're not getting sponsored.
Good stuff.
Let's move on to the main part of our video.
Yeah.
As early as the 50s, about the police, one thing that's certain is that we are fascinated.
I'll just edit this out, but
this week, and you should definitely join us. Now, let's move on to the main part of our video. Whatever we might think about the police, one thing that's certain is that we are fascinated by them. As early as the 50s, the police crime drama started filling our TV screens, and long before that, Arthur Conan Doyle and Edgar Allan Poe planted the seeds for the genre of detective fiction.
Hang on a minute. I've just realised what you're laughing at there. Is the woman... This is like stereotyping a 1950s woman, right?
Yeah, what, like, come on now.
What's this got to do
can't
with
be doing
police?
this kind of stuff in videos now.
Fiction. The good cop, the bad cop, or even the rebel with a cause cop kind of shows in the 70s have evolved into more realistic series such as The Wire, which give us a more nuanced version of police work and those that do it. In real life, dashcam footage from police vehicles has also become a staple in the online content we consume. Today we are going to concentrate on real-life cops, and perhaps the two most famous, sometimes infamous police forces in the world, in this episode of the Infographic show, American Cops versus British Cops.
Yeah, so Theo, I don't know about you, but in England and the United Kingdom, we do police very differently to the United States, I've noticed. And I don't know if it's just the media putting all of this, you know, information out there and twisting things. I'm sure it happens in America as well with our police, you know. But we're quite reserved.
I mean,
you know.
Yeah, we kind of do it to ourselves too, because if you think about like YouTube, where you see all the dash cam footage and whatnot, most of it's coming from the US, just because I mean they get involved in more crap, especially with the guns and whatnot. So
exactly,
I guess it's kind of hard to avoid.
And plus, like, America is massive in comparison, so you're obviously going to get more, you know, more crime and stuff as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell button so that you can be part of our notification squad. Prior to what we consider an actual police force, the ancients had many ways to police the polis or city. Slaves in ancient Greece would handle the rowdy crowds when tempers flared, while the Romans might set the Praetorian Guard on out-of-control rioters. Through the ages, there have been myriad ways to maintain public order, and also some pretty gruesome punishments for those that breach the accepted rules. In the UK, it wasn't until 1749 when a judge named Henry Fielding created what was called the Bow Street Runners, the first time Britain had anything what we can associate with today's police force. As British cities grew at a rapid pace under the Industrial Revolution, so did crime. And so on September 29th, 1829, the Metropolitan Police Service was formed in London, and it is said to be the first modern police force ever created. The man behind it, Sir Robert Peel, explained why England needed cops. I want to teach people that liberty does not consist in having your house robbed by organized gangs of thieves and in leaving the principal streets of London in the nightly possession of drunken women and vagabonds.
So they said that started in what, 1740 something?
Yeah, like 1700s.
It's kind of like, you would think, like, so you guys had the colonies, which eventually turned into America. You figured they would have some sort of like police, but I guess back in the day they just had military to do all that kind of stuff. I was going to
think, like, yeah, I mean, we had the military for that kind of stuff, but I'm guessing the military would be a little bit more rougher in terms of how they deal with people. So but yeah, it is strange considering, like, the United Kingdom, we've kind of been civilized for hundreds and hundreds of years, haven't we, you know, in that respect?
Yeah, you figured they would have something like that, but I guess it got to a point, where they needed that separation.
Yeah.
The force was getting kind of excessive.
I guess unofficially we had it. Maybe.
Why were they nicknamed Bobbies? Well, after their founder, Robert.
Military police
the
or
USA
something.
was noted for its Wild West outlaws. One of those was Billy the Kid, who was shot by Sheriff Pat Garrett in 1881. Like Britain, America had ways to control crime, but for a long time there was no formal police force, and so the job of keeping folks in line often went to private contractors such as the Pinkerton National Detective Agency. Systems including night watchmen and even what some called goons for hire weren't portable as the USA's growing population. It's thought that the first American formal police force was created in Boston in 1838. New York City followed in 1845, and by the 1880s, just about all American cities had an organized police force. Now that we know something about the history of these two countries' police forces, let's look at the present day. The number of police officers in just England and Wales has decreased significantly in the last decade, which has become a major political issue in the UK. The number...
You know what? I've seen a massive decline in the police as well on the streets, especially like when I was younger, like 5-year-old. You know, you'd see police on every street corner just patrolling, and the way they acted on the streets as well, you almost had to be a bit of a tough guy to get into the police force, whereas now they certainly don't cater for that. They're not looking at tough guys anymore. They're looking at articulate, intellectual individuals, people with degrees and stuff, you know, to be police officers, whereas before you just had to be a bit of a tough guy on the streets. And I've seen the difference in how we treat police. We've got far less respect for police now than we did 20 years ago. That's for sure.
I mean, you kind of figured like it would be the opposite, but I guess at the same time, yeah, you kind of need someone that just sort of like voices authority or sort of exhibits authority. In the US, I don't really know. I think it's kind of gone backwards on us.
Really?
We've gotten a lot of cops in. Yeah, so we've been getting more and more cops, and the same thing has happened just because these cops are just they're not trained the best. They're not getting the best training. They don't know how to use that continuum of force. So it's kind of had the same effect. So
it's strange, that, isn't it? On both ends of the parameter, you get the same effect. It's mad.
Right. It's kind of weird to think about.
Number in 2016 of officers in the force was 124,066, down from 143,769 7 years before that. The number of full-time officers working in Scotland in 2016 was 17,242, and the number in Northern Ireland was 6,773. That's a total of 148,081 police officers working all over the United Kingdom. The population of the UK is 65.64 million, so roughly there is one police officer for every 448 people.
Exactly.
Much of the British media
I didn't even know that.
That's not enough, especially as the crime rate rise in the UK is rising faster than it has in a decade. This includes a rise in violent crimes and homicide. Over the pond in the USA, crime rates are much higher, and as some police departments are looking more like military units, the role of police in society has met with some controversy. Finding the actual number of sworn police officers working in the USA in 2016 isn't that easy. This is because figures given by the US Bureau of Justice Statistics haven't been updated in a few years. The total number of police agencies in the US is around 18,000, but that includes all branches of police. If we take just local police departments, that number is more like 15,500, according to PolitiFact. The old data that is often cited.
Well, so it would be super complicated. So, like in a state, you have like state police. You also have county police, which are smaller than that. And then you also have a bunch of federal agencies as well. Crazy. So it's kind of like all these people kind of like overlapping. So there's definitely no shortage of cops here in the U.S.
Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of weird. They kind of have like different jurisdiction, but at the same time, they kind of just end up running on top of each other.
There were 765,000 officers that had the power to make an arrest. The U.S. Department of Justice gives the number of 750,340 for 2012. According to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund, that number has shot up and is presently about 900,000. The U.S. population is 323.
Hang on. So when was this video made? So that you've got like nearly 1 million police officers. That's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, so
it's probably
from 2017.
You can guarantee.
I mean, you have to think even still. So we have 60 million people in the U.S. and almost a million of them are cops.
Yeah, that's mental.
That is pretty crazy.
It's good though. I mean, I'm all for it.
1 million, so that means that roughly there is one cop for every 359 people. One of the major differences.
So it's about the same as the United Kingdom, right? In terms of one cop per, what was it, 400 or something for the UK?
Oh, yeah, true.
So it's really comparable in that respect.
Yeah, you would think so, but I think it's just the U.S. is a little bit louder in how they police, so maybe it doesn't seem like equal all the time.
No, that's a good point, actually.
difference is that in the USA, police carry guns, as do 36% of American households, according to the Washington Post. It's reported that in 2016, 135 police officers died in the line of duty, with around half of those that died being fatally shot. The Guardian reports that the number of officers killed in the line of duty in the UK is a total of 11 since 2010, although many officers are assaulted in the UK. In 2015, it was reported that 23,000 assaults occurred against officers.
That was 11 since 2010.
Yeah.
And we had like 135 in 1 year. That's pretty crazy.
Jeez.
In just England and Wales. In 2017, the Police Federation of England and Wales reported this figure to be not even close to the real number. It said there were 2.4 million assaults in 2016, meaning an officer was attacked every 13 seconds that year. 300,000 of them involved attacks with deadly weapons. The report said the average police officer is assaulted 19 times a year. On the other hand, in the USA in 2016, police officers killed a total of 1,093 people. According to Inquest.org, in the UK in 2016, a total of 5 people were shot and killed by police. The total number of people shot and killed in the UK since 1990 is 67. We should add here that regular cops in the UK don't carry guns, but armed police can be called when it's thought guns are needed. Police in Northern Ireland...
Here's the thing then, Theo. What's your take on this? I mean, I never get really too political on other people's like businesses and stuff that because it's not my lived experience in America. I've been there on holiday and stuff, and I was there with the US Marines when I was in the Royal Marines, and I didn't see any of the bad effects of policing over there. I only saw the good effects. So what's your take on weapons? So,
I will say if I was a cop, especially in the US, I would definitely want a firearm. That's just because, again, they said like what, 30% of households have firearms. I mean, there's so many firearms out there that it's kind of unavoidable.
I agree. So
for me, if I was a cop, I would want one.
Definitely.
But I do think that they could be trained a little bit better on the continuum of force, and also just like hand-to-hand fighting and whatnot.
Like the escalation process needs to be a little bit more stringent, doesn't it?
Yeah. I don't have an issue with the police at all, but I do think they could be trained better.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of like weaponry, I agree. I think if I was a police officer in the US, I'd want to be armed as well. But just like if you were in the United Kingdom where no one has weapons, you'd probably like I would choose not to be armed in the United Kingdom because there's no real need for it. Do you know what I mean? You just don't need that.
It would kind of make you even more of a threat because you'd be like this kind of like macho dude walking around. But I mean, I have seen the firearms police like that you guys have, and they seem like they're trained pretty well.
They're trained really well. Yeah.
Are different, routinely carrying firearms. According to the newspaper The Mirror, in 2016 there were 1,863,524 legally owned guns in Wales and England, most of which were shotguns. It's thought there are another 277,000 guns in Scotland,
a lot more than
and a further 150,000 legally owned guns in Northern Ireland. The same newspaper said there were another 2 million illegally owned guns on the UK streets, which has raised the question if the UK police should be the murder rate per capita in the US is still 30 times higher than in the UK, which might not be surprising considering there are more guns than people in the country, according to the Washington Post. As for assaults on officers, there were 51,548 assaults against US police officers in 2015, with a total of 14,453 injuries sustained. With this in mind, how does life on the job compare between the two forces, and how do you even get a job as a police officer? In the UK, you can join when you are 18. There are no restrictions on height, but the force does ask you to be in good enough physical and mental shape to undertake police duties. No formal qualifications are required, but you will need to pass some tests to get in. Pass them, and you are in, just as long as you have.
Okay, so I know that this has changed. I don't know if this is accurate now, but I was looking at the comments in this video, and they were saying that there are certain certifications that you need to be a cop in the UK now.
Certainly so now.
I'll give that caveat.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays you really have to have a degree for them to look at you, and if you haven't got one, you certainly need to be of the level to be able to go to university. So you need to be qualified to obtain that qualification. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's just like crazy to think about because in the US, people become a cop usually when honestly, when a lot of people, especially who get out of the military, they become a cop because they don't really have a whole lot of options that fit what they like to do.
I mean, this is just to give you a little bit of understanding of how hard it is. In the Marines, I specialized as a service police investigator, which basically meant I was a warrant card holder. I was qualified as a military police officer in the Royal Marines. I applied to become a police officer on 10, 12 grand less money in Civvy Street as a civilian, and I got knocked back. I didn't have the qualifications to do that job,
crazy.
even though I was doing it in a higher capacity in the Royal Marines. So it's crazy,
That's crazy.
man. Yeah.
That's
having
really weird
committed
to think
any
about.
serious offenses in the past. It's similar in the US, although the police force does usually ask for a high school diploma and that you are either 18 or 21 depending on the department. You'll have to train at a police academy and have either a clean criminal record or have only committed minor offenses. There is no minimum or maximum height or weight limit, but in the academy you'll have to pass certain physical agility tests.
Yeah.
Nowhere does it state you have to enjoy eating donuts. Wages vary, but in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, you can expect to start your career as a police constable on anything from $25,000 US to $30,000. If you work hard, UK career websites say that within about 7 years...
No, that sounds like... I mean, even in the US, like a medium wage job will probably make at least that. Probably more than that. That is pretty... Yeah, that's pretty shocking to hear about.
To be fair...
Especially if you're like... Yeah.
You're working a lot as well. Like, these guys are going to court, representing different things. It's a hard job, like, you know. There's a lot of pressure on you. For 22,000, and you're not getting much for 22,000 in the United Kingdom.
Well, especially even for like the qualifications, because again, you can just get right out of high school, you can go and be a U.S. cop and make more than these guys are making. So that's kind of crazy to think about too. It's kind of depressing.
Wage can be $48,872 US. You should work a 40-hour week, although police work can often mean overtime and also emergency callouts. You'll get 23 days annual leave and also full sick pay. The pension varies depending on time worked, but the average police pension in the UK is thought to be around $20,465 a year, and the normal retirement age is 60. In the US,
really
salaries differ from state to state, but a
respect.
rookie cop working in the NYPD can expect to earn $46,288 per year. After 5.5 years, this could rise to $90,829.
Hang on a minute.
Other states have...
This is your kid salary after 5 years, 90 grand.
So I don't know. I would say the NYPD are a little bit more selective.
Really?
But at the same time, probably not, because they're a massive police force.
Really?
But I'm sure they do get better training than a lot of other police.
Okay.
So getting a higher salary makes a little bit more sense, but
because of the training and stuff that they have to go through. Plus, it's cool to see you.
Yeah, and also
NYPD.
what they have to deal with.
Yeah, I don't actually. Fair one. Those Bronx guys.
Those guys are pretty
average
legit,
wages
I'll
closer
say
to $30,000, and others $70,000, according to career website Crom. You'll get 10 days paid vacation to start with, but after 5 years it will increase to 27 days. You'll also receive unlimited fully paid sick days, medical benefits, dental benefits, and optional retirement after 22 years on the force.
Actually,
like
that's
the
really
UK,
good.
You will work around 40 hours a week in shifts, but that
bad.
might change with overtime. How much pension you receive can be affected by multiple factors, but various websites put the average police pension anywhere from $58,000 to $62,000. With money in mind, we'll end the show there. Where would you rather be a cop? The UK or the US? Let us know in the comments. Also, be sure to check.
I'm not sure. Yeah, so
their question right there. What would you? I don't know where I'd rather be a cop, to be honest. I think I'd be a cop just to make sure that there's actually people getting helped out. So I feel like I'd have a little bit more purpose in the US. But at the same time, in the UK, it's a lot safer, and you're probably just dealing with drunk people a lot of the time.
I mean, for instance, if you work for London Metropolitan Police, you've got one of the hardest policing jobs in the United Kingdom. Probably the hardest policing job in the United Kingdom, because you're dealing with international people. Like, you're dealing with all kinds of different people. It's an epicenter of the United Kingdom. They do a real tough job. I think they get about 10 grand extra on the wage per year for doing that as well, so you are paid more for London Met. But there's some places in the United Kingdom, like Barnstaple, for instance, where you don't do anything. You'll not do anything for your money, so it can be really cool. I mean, for me, I guess it's like, the American dream coming into it. I would love to be a cop in the US, but I don't know if that in reality would be actually, would match up to my expectations. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think it's been romanticized a lot just by like TV and whatnot, but at the same time, you are doing a little bit more as far as like, of course it's going to be a little more dangerous with guns and drugs and whatnot, but I don't know. I don't think it's as nice as people would think, at least for my buddies who are cops, but
well, let's ask
I don't know. It's
let's ask
people
weird. Who's watching this. What would you rather be? Just drop a comment in either of our videos. Where would you rather be a cop and let us know why? I think that's a good thing.
And if you guys are a cop in the US or the UK, let us know how that is. Let us know if the pay is good enough, if you guys have to deal with a little bit more than people would think about. So that'd be cool to hear.
Cool. Well, hey, I've really enjoyed
cool video,
this, actually,
though.
Theo. Thank you very much for that. Guys, all of our links are in the description. You can find Theo's channel in my description as well. Go check him out. He's a cool dude. And if you want to see more of this type of content, I'm sure we can make that happen.
Hell yeah. All right.
Cool. Take it easy, guys.
So next time.